You're watching EVH Gear TV, brought to you by The Music Zoo. Shop The Music Zoo, your authorized EVH gear dealer for all your EVH gear needs. Great selection, quality service, and competitive pricing. The Music Zoo is your one-stop shop for all things EVH. Official Van Halen merchandise for EVH Gear TV is provided by VanHalenStore.com. Now, here's your host from Ontario, Canada, EVH gear artist Eric Broadbent.
Welcome to EVH Gear TV. Happy Friday. We are here for another episode. It seems like it was just yesterday I did a show. I think actually, in fact, it was yesterday. Been waiting for this show for a long time. This is a fan-requested show, and thank God for the fans of this show because I was turned on to guitar sensation Robert Baker. Robert, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Great. I am really thrilled to have you on the show. This is going to be a fun Friday night. Like I've always said, you've seen a couple of my shows. I know you haven't seen a lot because you're busy doing your thing, which is awesome. But I always profess to say I like to be the warm-up band for the weekend. So warm up the weekend for you guys, and hopefully everyone will enjoy that. But I know they're going to love you for sure. So what's happening, man?
Not too just hanging out, you know, McDonald's burritos.
Oh,
you know.
Okay. I got a bone to pick with you on that. So Robert sent me a message just moments before going live, about half an hour ago, actually. He said, look at this. He says, warming up. I was warming up on guitar for a little bit, and he goes out to McDonald's and gets the all-day breakfast and gets the breakfast sausage burrito. And we have this little kind of private joke going back and forth because one day I go to McDonald's here in Canada, and we just started serving all-day breakfasts, right? So I'm like, you know what? It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's take advantage of something that's new. My favorite thing for breakfast is the breakfast burritos. Oh, sorry, sir. We don't serve that. It's not on our breakfast burrito menu or our menu. So you were rubbing it in before, and of course tonight again too.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. Like all day breakfast, yet they don't have an item that literally has the word breakfast in the name of it.
I know. It's like not hash brown or whatever, but it's not a breakfast hash brown. It's a breakfast burrito. I'm going to complain to that. I'm going to start tweeting McDonald's and saying, "Come on, man."
Yeah, ain't no one got time for that.
That's right. But on the flip side of that, I got you beat when it comes to the Tim Hortons and things like that because we were just talking about that. Tell a story about your buddy saying about the coffees and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we finally got a Tim Hortons. So now we're all loving it down here.
It's good for sure. The only thing before I had the Tim Hortons when I'd go across from the States was the Dunkin' Donuts and stuff like that, and I really was not used to that. Tim Hortons is a kind of a good coffee up here, although I like McDonald's a little bit better. Their coffee is more consistent, I find.
Yeah, I mean the Dunkin's and Starbucks. There's like 1,000 Starbucks here, so that's kind of the staple. Yeah,
it's probably like the equivalent to our Tim's here on every street corner, everywhere, malls, that kind of stuff.
Literally.
Yeah. We got a whole bunch of people joining in the chat. I can't believe how many people are in there already as well too. And I promise I'll try to acknowledge more people than I did last night. Last night was kind of crazy, and I was just kind of addressing people who didn't really get to the comments. But I also have a wealth of good questions for you as well too. Talking gear, talking YouTube, talking instruction and all kinds of things. So let's jump right into some of the stuff as well too. Let's jump right into YouTube. When was it that you discovered YouTube and it being something that maybe this is what I want to be a part of?
Yeah, it's weird. If you look at my channel, like I started my channel in like 2006, but I didn't like upload videos. It was just you needed to sign up or something like that. And it wasn't until I'd say like 2012, maybe, that I watched a Rob Chapman video on YouTube, and he just had this like, I got an update popping up. Let's not update in the middle of the live stream.
That's all good.
But I watched one of his videos, and he just seemed like such like a normal dude. I'm like, oh, this is like a platform that's not just for, Ingve Malmsteen.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can do this, and then it just kind of like went from there. And there's like some super cringy old videos that I leave up on YouTube on purpose. I'm like, oh my god, these are so terrible.
I have the same as well. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So it was just that kind of like. See, I love the idea of like he seemed to have this community of people, and I was like, man, if I could ever make videos and stuff, like I would love to build some kind of a community like that, a positive kind of like outlook on stuff. So
We have a very similar history that way too, because it was around 2012 as well that I started my channel, and same idea
really?
too. Yeah, just kind of sharing some things, little solo videos and things like that. A lot of them were just cell phone shot, really bad quality. And I think it was 2016 actually. So yeah, this is very young. 2016, I did one of my first serious videos, and by serious I mean putting some thought into it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it's still crappy quality, but there's some thought, there's some, process put in behind it. And that's where I was just saying, okay, I'm going to show you some because a lot of people would email me and say, how to hook up my proper pedals in the 5150, what goes in the loop, what goes in the front kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, well, here's the board. Here's how I do it. And I'm not saying it's the right or the wrong way, but here's what works for me. And I said, if you like this, give me some comments and I'll continue. And sure enough, it snowballed a little bit and took off. So, but there was about 4 years before of just, having an account so you could comment on stuff and participate. Yeah. But that's really cool. And I know you and I, we have a lot of the same, we share a lot of the same influence when it comes to YouTube. And there's so many people that are influences to me that aren't even necessarily in the, in what we do, in the music aspect of it, or gear reviews or anything. Like, I love a lot of gear people and a lot of guys that aren't in that field at all. And a lot of it comes from my boy.
Right.
Let's talk about some of the influences, maybe both musical-wise. I know you've mentioned Rob already, but we can include him as well. Musical influences and outside of gear and in musical industry who have influenced you on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I guess like another quick musical one, like the two big ones. Why I started YouTube was Rob Chapman, of course, and then Keith Merrow.
Okay,
so
yeah, you told me about him. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of guys are probably familiar with him. And it's I don't play like 7 strings, or I don't even play metal or anything like that, but yet incredibly influential on me as far as like YouTube goes. And but it was like when I started watching more people like Casey Neistat, even PewDiePie, and started paying attention to their editing, because I mean they don't play guitar in their videos and stuff like that. I was like, oh, you really like if I could incorporate that, like this isn't what people are doing in the guitar little corner, like our tiny little corner that we have on YouTube for guitar. And it was just stuff like that. I mean, like even like vlog people and stuff like that. I mean, the what's his name? Jesse Weldon, I think is his name. He makes kind of like Casey Neistat style videos.
Yep. Kind of a vlog documentary kind of short.
Yeah, he's really, I mean, he's like 10 million subscribers. I mean, he's like a huge YouTuber. Yeah.
A lot of similar ones, and a lot of them I get from my boy as well too. I made a list just so I wouldn't forget as well too. But PewDiePie, we watch him a lot, and I wouldn't be watching if it wasn't for the boy. And he's getting back to kind of his throwback stuff now, getting back to his gaming videos and that. I mean, you do a video every day. I mean, you can run out of ideas. So he's been stretching a little bit, and I don't blame him. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time, so he's going back to some of his roots. You've seen this one show. This is what I like about production. Good Mythical Morning. You watch those guys?
Rhett and Link. I watch it all the time. I just watched it this morning.
Yeah, and I recommend that for people that have families and want to watch them with their kids, because it's sometimes it can be very slightly off the cuff, but I mean it's not. It's a family friendly show. What I love about those guys, even when they had their small production studio, the quality was great. Their small set they had. That's something that I've been struggling with. Like I'm fairly comfortable with what I've got right now, but it's in the back of my mind. What do I want to improve on? I want to improve the set. So Good Mythical Morning is a huge influence on me. Paul Riario from Guitar World. I'm going to mention a couple of guys that are in the gear than what we do, and I know for sure one is one of your favorites as well too. Paul Riario is pretty much my spearhead to make me do the gear demos. Anytime you see a gear demo out there, it's like today we're going to be taking a look at, and it's Paul Riario. Henning Pauly, our friend from Germany.
Yep.
He's amazing. And
yeah.
What's funny about him is, sometimes you're like, okay, what's he going to say next? And you're almost afraid what's going to come out of his mouth, but it's awesome. It's always awesome, and it's the truth, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's really he's probably one of the nicest and like truly genuine people on YouTube. Unfortunately, sometimes you meet some of the people in person and they're like not quite as friendly as you thought they would be, but I've never met Henning in person, but I've just heard from other people, and I've talked to Henning multiple times on Skype and all that stuff. I'm like, man, he's just the exact same person you see on camera that kooky, just awesome personality. So
I've only had a very quick conversation with him in person, and then I had him on the show last year, or actually maybe it might have been this year, and it was difficult for him because it was very, very late his time. But he came on the show, and it was really neat. Like I told you off camera too when I had my call with you about a week ago. I ran into him at NAMM, and we both recognized each other. We didn't know each other's names, but I was like, "Hey, you're," and he goes, "Yeah," and you're like this kind of thing, right? And and I said how smart he was because I'm traveling around with this big camera rig. There's him. You can tell how smart he is. Same style of rig I had with a dolly pushing this thing on wheels. I'm like, man, that guy is so smart because I'm sitting there carrying around 45, 55 pounds of gear like with one arm, and he's sitting there pushing it. I'm like, there's the tip right there. I wrote down the notes. Go get a dolly. You know what I mean? But yeah.
I mean, it's funny. You listen to him, and he's one of those people who is just so knowledgeable about his craft, but his craft is like so much stuff. You know, I mean, recording, the video production. I mean, he's telling me about all this gear he uses, and I'm like, what in the world? I use like 2 cameras and a couple tripods, and he's like, no, you do this. I'm like, that's really smart. You know, I'm like, man.
He is for sure, and I think really with his demos that he does, he could probably talk. I know his demos are long, and that's his style. And I mean, it's hard not to make a long demo. To be honest with you, you know that it's hard to edit down and get stuff down to where you like it. I've had like things that could be 20 minutes, and I get them down to 7, and it's so much footage is scrapped. Now his are quite long, but he could only talk about gear for 5 minutes, and the rest could just be what he talks about, and it would still be entertaining. It's you enjoy that program. His set looks good, like you said off camera. You just want to be there. Yeah,
you really do, and the coolest thing I think that he really has going for him, like I said, is he has like a really unique personality, obviously, but he's a great player, and even more than a player, he seems like he's very knowledgeable. Like he's like an arranger. You know, he knows how things work musically very well. So he just seems very gifted in a lot of different areas.
I agree with that. Yeah, so he's obviously on my list as well. There's another fellow I think you should check out if you don't know about him already too. He's more of a because you're in social media as one of the things you do. Do you know a fellow by the name of Roberto Blake?
I do not.
Look him up. He's really good. I got into him. I discovered him through photography channels. He's a photographer, and also he's really good at video editor, and he's into After Effects and things like that. And a lot of things I was learning in After Effects were some of his tutorials. So I started watching him, seeing what he does, and he's a big influencer, and he does a lot of reviews on gear. Now, this is not musical gear, none whatsoever. I don't even know if he plays. But, you know, recording gear, microphones, like for doing what we do, you know, the computer software, webcams, and it's such a blessing to have people you can trust, like people that come to you and I, too. We know what it's like from the other angle. But we need it too as ourselves. We need these people to teach us a few things, and that's what I love about them.
Yeah. No, I love channels like that and stuff. I wish I could remember his name. I just found one and subscribed to him.
Yeah, if you think of it throughout the program, just blurt it out so you don't forget. If you think of it.
Yeah, his content is insane. It's like some of the best. It's guitar related, but he's from Holland. And you just watch him. I'm like, I just want to be your friend. We should be friends.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's very like soft spoken, and then he's just like a killer guitar player. I'm like, oh, geez, he's good. And then I'm like, man, so many of these guys out there.
There's a lot. Another one you should check out too. It's a great one too. Are you familiar with Scott Kelby? From Kelby One.
Not.
So Kelby One, he does a lot of Photoshop tutorials. He's one of the world's most gifted photographers. But he does Photoshop training, like any kind of software training, Lightroom training if you're a photographer, you know, Adobe Premiere stuff. He has like a whole network of training things. It's really awesome. But he's a drummer and a guitarist. But he also runs a show called The Grid. Look that up later on. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Called The Grid, and he has a couple guests on. And obviously he's got a good budget and on production stuff like that. It looks like something you'd see on ESPN or CNN or whatever.
Really?
It's awesome. Small set.
Man.
You know, it's probably a small set in a big warehouse, but it's still a small set, and it's really, really nice. No, that's obviously too big from where I want to go, but I'd like to take baby steps and get somewhere in between that. That'd be nice, and that's a good one as well too. But let's jump over to the chat real quick. We'll say hi to everybody over there.
Sure.
We have a great list of people. We got Gary Davlin joining us. He's here early. He says hi, Robert. Quentin James, I'm here too with tabs. Yeah, there was a joke going on. You remember that with tabs? That's a good one. Dirty Apes Inc. says hello. Frank C. Hello, guys. Made it as well. Michael Bishop. Hello, all. Poison Ivy Grows here. That's my better half. Help me with the chat. What's up, Poison from Frank? Quentin James. Happy Kentucky Derby Eve. Is there Kentucky Derby this weekend or something?
That I don't know.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, I'll take a word for it.
I don't know any horse racing stuff.
No, neither do I. No, that's one thing I know nothing about. Actually, I know there's a lot of things I know nothing about, but that's another one. Add that to my list. JD Gonzalez, I'm here. Sinner is from over in Michigan. Hey, guys and gals. JD Gonzalez, good night, guys. Captain Canada 02, sup, I'm here. And this name kills me all the time. Now, I have to say, he's given me the permission to call him Noobs. His real name is Fart I Kilt Noobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I saw that name, I'm like, I was trying to pronounce it, and it was the worst train wreck ever. So we just call them Noobs now. It's easier. Do you get some weird, like, do you have the live chat on your show a lot?
Yeah. That's it's really funny. Like me doing like this, like, I'm so used to like looking over at the chat. Like, I keep like looking over and it's not there. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to remember. Like I don't have the chat.
That probably feels good, doesn't it? I bet you.
Yeah, I don't have to like worry about like, am I missing something?
I know. You know what? I love the fact that I like to be able to read this and everything like that too. But I am always paranoid because I don't like to miss anything, and I do. And if you don't act on it soon, eventually it's going to scroll when there's a way, and then you can't scroll back so far. You can only go back so far. So guys and girls, if I miss you, it's somewhat my fault, but not all my fault. So I'll try my best not to miss you. I love all you guys joining. That's for sure. So Al Compton saying, hey guys, how's it going? And Poison Ivy says, relaxing, ready for a great show. Carlo Santin says, happy rainy Friday, everyone. Yeah, I would really like this rain to go away. I feel like I'm in BC right now.
Yeah, it's been rained for 3 straight days here.
Yeah, that's about the same here too. And it's been cold. We had a hot spell, and we're pretty much in the same plane here ourselves. Like, we're just right across the lake from each other. So you probably had some hot weather a couple weeks back, right?
Yeah.
T-shirt weather.
Like 70s.
Yeah. It's like T-shirt weather here in Canada, which was great for very, very like mid-April. And now it's cold and it just goes through your bones and everything, especially when you get to be my age, you really feel it. So I'm tired of it. I want it to get warm up, and it's supposed to drop down to like 1 degree on Monday from what Poison Ivy's saying. So I'm ready for some warm weather. Mike Ray's giving us the horns up. Quentin James says, hope that Noobs kid doesn't show. Dang, too late he is here. He says it's a friendly rivalry between them. Chris Kerr's joining, says, what's happening all? Let me see here. Michael Bishop says, hello, Eric and Robert. Sup, Rob. Frank C. Hello, Eric and Rob. Lots of love for Rob for sure. And there, I just did it. It jumped again. I hate it when it does that. Okay. Let me see here. Try to go back. I'm sorry if I. Carlo Santin says, I'm not familiar with Rob yet, but I'm definitely checking out his channel. Seems like a great guy. You're in for a real treat, and you're going to have a lot of videos, so you're going to have to do a lot of binge watching for sure. Okay. And one person I did miss last night, Joseph Burt, and I almost missed him again here in the chat. He says, hi, Eric and Rob. Let me see here. All right, I think I'm back to normal here. Howie Zowie, my buddy from London, is joining in. A radio host himself, so really cool dude. I got to meet him finally in person. It's cool when you have these, Facebook friends and things like that too, and you get to finally meet them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he lives in London, Ontario, and I was down there for business last week, and I said, you know what? It'd be a real injustice for me not just to stop by and say hi. So you free? I'll come by and say hi, and we had some fun talking gear and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. Let me see here. Joshua Catlett Hendricks. Let me see here. Who else have I missed here? Carlo Santin. Here's a new one. Maybe it's probably come from your channel, IPFT7A something. Boom, he says. I don't recognize the name, so I think that's maybe one of your friends.
It might be.
Yep. Vintage Sounds saying hello. Randy Clark. Adam's joining us. Ty Price. Robert, thanks for all the finds. Very, very nice. And the videos he's saying, Blackie DH. I'll try to get down to the bottom here. Rockbiter, hello all. Eric's Eric's doubleheader. Yeah, back to back. I don't normally do shows on Thursday, but yesterday's show was finding a hole in the Tremonti tour, the Ultra Bridge tour, and it was the first night off, so it worked. So yeah, that was kind of fun. I just got a text message from Mark Tremonti there earlier tonight too, and he had a really good time. So I was really happy to hear that.
Nice. Yeah. I started watching a little bit of the show. I haven't made it too far into it yet.
Yeah, they're longer, an hour and a half, so it takes a bit. But there's some really cool Van Halen stories, and you could see when the people their interest peaked when the Van Halen stories come up. It was pretty awesome. Wolfgang Insight and all that kind of stuff. Right? It was a lot of fun. This is really cool for you, Adam. One of the regulars here and a good friend says Rob makes guitar lessons fun.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Let's build on that for a second. There's a million people out there instructing, a million of them. That's great. We're very thankful for that because in most cases, a lot of it's free, and some of your stuff is free, and some of you have that's paid things, and we'll get to that as well too. How do you make it fun for someone? Because when something is fun, it's no longer work, and you're learning something without even realizing it. What is your approach to making it fun and enjoyable?
Yeah, so that was my whole thing about the teaching was exactly what you just said, and it goes back to watching the channels that aren't guitar-based ones.
Okay.
Because I was trying to, make the videos entertaining and interactive with people. So, I felt like if you could make them funny, whether it's like the editing, you look at the camera and then it zooms in on your face all of a sudden, or there's an explosion sound effect, something like that. It makes you start laughing, and you're just like, you're enjoying the process. And you're like, all right, now let's go on, let's get to the information. So.
Okay.
Like I said, I always enjoyed going back. I mean, a lot of it comes from the Rob Chapman thing. I mean, that's how he did it. I mean, a lot of times he was in pajamas, rolling around, eating pizza with his guitar, just like doing whatever in a video. I'm like, oh man, and I guess it helps if you're a pretty goofy, random person. So, I remember I was much way stiff on camera.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah, I was going to ask you how you've adapted and how you've changed in your personality.
Yeah, earlier it was like I had a black backdrop and all that stuff, and I took it all down after a few lessons. I was like, I really just wanted to feel like we're hanging out in this room learning guitar. So that was and I was like, you know what, I'm pretty weird, so I'm just going to roll with it. and luckily people dug it, so...
I've seen some advancement too from some of mine. Like obviously, just at one time it was overdone, and I got a couple of people, especially my Sandra Lee, telling me, okay, just because you have everything doesn't mean you have to show everything. It's like being at Toys R Us and showing every toy in the commercial, right? It's like less is more, less is more. So I kind of took that as some good advice and things like that. And I know what you mean about going from the stiff to somewhat more relaxed. I don't think none of us will ever. Well, I'm speaking for myself. I'll never be to the point where I just hit the button, go live, and I'm calm as a cucumber, cool as a cucumber. There's still like, okay, this could go wrong over here. I could lose my guest with a bad connection. Like one time I lost a guest 4 times. It's almost like, I was like, okay, all right, this is a train wreck. It's like you're seeing the train coming off the track, and it's like, okay, how many people can we afford to lose as casualties in this one, right? You know what I mean?
It's like, I don't know what's happening.
I know. Well, okay, we've lost the first class people are all okay, but the people back in coach, I'm sorry, where call your relatives and next of kin. So I'm always worried about that. But yeah, there's graduation, and I guess I should notice. I mentioned this earlier too when I was talking about influences that weren't necessarily the stuff that we do. Poison Ivy watches a lot of stuff. She watches a lot of cooking shows, gardening. Things are totally 100% not related to what we're talking about here. These homesteaders that live off the land, they quit their jobs, they live off their land. And so I'm subconsciously taking in all this, their production things, their sound, their whatever, their approach. So that's an influence without even really realizing it too.
Yeah, my wife watches a lot of like makeup tutorials, like all that kind of stuff, and it and she was like, you really should do they do I guess it's like favorites of the month, like whatever makeup favorite. And I was like, there has to be some kind of angle out of that. And I did one top 10 gift ideas for musicians.
Nice.
And it did super, super well. But it came from the recommendation of a makeup tutorial, which I'm like, I'm not watching makeup videos.
Right.
But, she was like, you need to do this. And I was like, that's a good idea. So
do you find yourself peeking over her shoulder sometimes at channels that she's watching just to kind of snoop to get ideas?
Probably not so much that. Usually it's just kind of like I'll hear it more and be like, oh, what are you watching? And it's like, oh, it's this.
Same as me.
Think you have to once you start being a content creator, like what we are on YouTube, you have a subconscious, just it's like you write a song and my phone has 1.5 million little 10-second videos of oh, that's a cool riff. That's a cool riff. And then I also I text myself all the time because I'm like, oh, that's a good idea for a video. That's a good idea, all the time. So
very good idea.
Yeah.
I find sometimes this is a funny thing I do, and maybe it's because, like you say too, being content creators, we're always trying to be prepared or don't forget ideas. But I'll hear her listening to something, and when you say hear it, and same as me too, I'll be in another room and I'll hear it, and I'll think, okay, that sound quality sounds really good. And I'll say, and then I'll just take a peek for a second. I'm looking at the guy. I said, I bet you they have a lot of subscribers, don't they? She looks, yeah, 75,000, 200,000, 150,000. I'm like, because you can tell right away that one, they're focusing on their quality, they're focusing on audio and video. And I love seeing that stuff. Doesn't matter what the subject is. It could be makeup. It could be fixing your car, you know, any of that stuff. As long as you're taking it seriously, and I love learning from that. Yeah,
I'll tell you one person who's like polar opposite of anything else that like I do or watch is it's actually PewDiePie's girlfriend Marzia.
Yep.
She does videos, and they're some of the best shot. Like I'll watch some of her like travel videos just because I'm like, I just love the way she shoots videos.
She's funny too.
Yeah, very quirky and just kind of like this cinematic approach to stuff. I'm like, man, that's like inspiring. I want to make videos like that. So yeah, it's just you just have to kind of like, it's all different forms of art.
It is.
But it can all help your own. Just, you just have to like take it a certain way.
I agree, 100%. Very, very profound. Continuing in the chat there, we got Brian M says, glad I found his channel as well, for sure. Adam says, this dude can rip. Captain Canada says, love the one note challenge videos.
Oh, nice.
That's very cool. That's very cool. And actually, that was a cool tip, too. That one thing, if you check out more of the Mark Tremonti video, you might appreciate this one, too, as an instructor. One of the things he does at some of his shows, he does a guitar clinic where you pay extra money for the meet and greet, and you can get a guitar clinic with him, which is cool. And he does the all downstroke challenge. And he'll challenge you to do something, and it's like for so many minutes, whatever, and it can only be strictly downstrokes. So that would be kind of a fun challenge as well, too.
I would lose. I just did like a Metallica video, and like by the fourth riff, like of all these down, I was like, my hand can't take it anymore. I'm just like,
yeah, I know you get the fatigue very, very quickly. Yeah, for sure. Let me see here. The noob says, I want more of those videos. Very cool. Rob, I enjoy the coffee jams. Senator says, me too, Adam. Coffee jams rule. Oh yeah, Glenn Fricker. Obviously, he's a good mutual friend of yours in Hennings, I believe, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm going up there pretty soon. Yeah.
Good. No, I have to learn a little bit more about Glenn Fricker. I only know the name. I haven't seen much of his stuff, but I know you guys swear by him. So somebody I want it. I always surround myself with good people, and if it's good people to you, then there's something I'm missing, and I want to find out more about that. So I'm going to surround myself with that. Blackie DH says, "Hey Sinner," and Adam says, "Hey Sinner, yeah, I drink coffee with you on those Baker morning jams." I got to do more morning ones as well too, because I'm pretty fresh after a coffee, good to go. It's a good time to do it.
Yeah.
Thomas Santiago says, hi Eric and Robert. Raining in Blood 666 Metal Rob, have you tried Eurosynth?
Eurosynth?
I'm
not sure what that is.
I'm not sure either. Maybe you can comment a little bit down below and explain further. James from Ottawa, my friends from Ottawa, is joining, longtime friend. Bane Rocks, who's my little guy, who's kind of a gifted young musician. He's joining. Says hello, all friends, and hello, Robert. And actually, I got to give credit where credit's due. I would not be doing this tonight if it wasn't for him. He's got me into YouTube. He's actually my biggest influence. Yeah, 11-year-old kid actually is my biggest influence on YouTube.
That's cool though.
Yeah, he worships. Actually, he wanted me to ask you about this. He worships one guy that you're friends with, Jared Dines.
Oh yeah,
he worships him. Absolutely, literally worships him. And so he said, "You got to mention Jared Dines."
Yeah, Jared's a cool. We're me and him had spoken before, but he does like a Shred Wars video.
Yes, I saw you commenting back on Facebook about that.
Yeah. He we had talked last year about that. I haven't talked to him since, but that still could be something down the road maybe.
That'd be cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like also too Rob Scallon, who's also I was introduced to him through Bane Rocks, my son there, and the stuff they do, like not only they're gifted musicians, but when they do those kind of like those Shred Wars and stuff like that too, with all the CGI and computer graphics, and they're like shooting people with laser beams and stuff like that. That's fun stuff. And there again, you're making it fun, you're laughing, and then you realize, okay, I'm a fan of this guy now. Oh, he just taught me how to play something, right? Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Anytime you can make things that you can learn not work, then you've got a good audience for sure.
Yeah.
This is probably one of your followers from your channel. Anthony Brewer says, what up, Rob? Mitch Hannon says, tomorrow. I'm not sure what the tomorrow is. I might have missed a question. Captain Canada says, always watching. Lau Ketchum. Yep. Love the live streams from Captain Canada. Poison Ivy saying, hi to James. Kyle Tim, see you're a Charvel player. Going to get one tomorrow. See you're a Charvel player. Is he referring to you? Do you play Charvels at all?
Yeah, I still have one. I have like a 1989 one
Okay.
that I have. But I was like the Charvel guy. Somehow I had like 3 or 4 different Charvels and stuff like that, and I only have one left. But,
Oh, really? No, is it
Yeah.
going to the old 80s shredders, or is it more like a San Dimas, or do you have it handy?
Yeah, it's right here.
Let's have a look.
So it's
Oh, the
it's a
crackle.
mutt. Yeah. So it's a what were they called? Predator. So it's a Predator body, but it has a Model 1 neck on it.
Okay.
The original neck broke. So, but luckily the old Charvels, I mean, you could pop, like, all the neck pockets were the same size. So
Yeah.
you could literally pop any neck on it. And, I love this. The neck's too small for my hands, so I don't play it too much. But it's just one of those, like, I look at it, I'm like, man, I love that guitar.
That's
So,
cool. Humbucker single.
Yeah. It's got the original single coil in it, and this is a Duncan Custom.
Nice.
So,
That's one of my favorite Duncans.
Yeah. So, and then it's got the old, it's like super worn out neck on it. But yeah, it's one of those, like, definitely never want to get rid of it.
Nice. I've been saying for the longest time too, one of my next guitars, because I've got a lot of Wolfgangs, and really there's not a lot of difference between the guitars, and from the same family, obviously from the Fender umbrella, I want to get a San Dimas. I really like the San Dimas. Gives me a humbucker, and I still my Floyd. I'm a Floyd guy through and through. I have to have Floyds. So gives me a little bit different body shape. I'll still feel like I'm in the same wheelhouse as EVH stripe guitars. So it'll be nice. Like a nice comfort zone. Cause my security blanket, in other words.
Right, yeah. Rock one of those, the Warren D. Martini snakeskin.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty sharp. Nice guitars. Okay, here's a question for you. Mitch Hammond, and I know the answer to this, but I'll let you address it. Can a 62-year-old learn to shred?
Yep. Yeah, I always tell people the best time to start playing guitar is right now. You know, don't ever wait, because I always say, like, it's one of the most amazing feelings to write a piece of music.
It is.
It's weird because it's like music. You can't see it, but you can totally feel it, and like everyone like will feel whatever the riff is totally different. So to me, it's such a cool concept. I'm like, such a music nerd.
Yep.
But
no, I agree. That's
Yeah.
the thing. When you compose your first piece, number one, you listen to it back. You like it. You're gonna show it to your family member, your wife or whatever, your husband or whatever. Kids, they like it. That's a nice thing. And then you show it to your friends, and then it just grows and grows and grows. And then it inspires you to write something else, record something else. It's it's a very contagious thing for sure. Question in the chat, which will actually is a question I have on the itinerary, so I'll jump to that question. This is from Adam. He says, what's more of a statement, but you said you're going to be doing a bit of a road trip soon to go over to see Henning. He says, looking forward to your Henning visit. Glenn had a blast with him, and vids were great entertainment. So tell us a little bit about that trip that's coming up.
yeah, so that it got pushed back a little bit right now. But it should be in June, so I'll be going over to Germany for a week or so. I'm not exactly sure how long I'll be there, but I am going to Henning's. But first, I'm going to the big music company called Thomann over there, and we're going to be doing a bunch of like just product videos and all like live streams and stuff like that. And I'll be there in Frankfurt, and then I'm not sure where Henning lives, like Hirschhausen or something. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it completely incorrect.
Okay. That's okay.
But yeah, then we'll be there, and we'll just say that we have a long list of crazy videos that we've come up with, so that should be extremely entertaining.
So you've got those planned already. That's good.
Yeah, we'll need to use for the one video like 30 some guitars, and it's gonna be. Yeah, it's going to be intense, the stuff. So we're just, like, going to have 3 full days where me and him are just going to try to hammer out, like, 30 videos and then have a day to, like, recuperate and hop back on a plane.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll need a vacation from the vacation. Well, it's not really a vacation anyways, but you're going to need a vacation after it for sure.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So Captain Canada 02 says, Rob, do you remember me? Do you recognize that name, Captain Canada 02? Maybe Captain Canada, maybe you can explain him maybe a little bit further, and maybe he has down further, I'm not sure, but sometimes it's hard to remember people by the handles, because I know a few people even in the chat right now, I know them more by their real name than I know them by their handle, so I forget sometimes. It's hard to sometimes put
well, that's you say noobs, and I forget, because he used to take lessons from me.
Okay.
I don't know if he wants his real name said on camera or not.
Yep.
But yeah, I always I see his name and I a lot of times I accidentally say what his name. I'm like, I've never asked him like, do you want your name used or or not? So yeah, but I try to remember them all, but thankfully they're it's grown a lot to where it's like, man, it's hard to remember all these names and stuff like that because I have no memory whatsoever.
Oh, I know. And when you get to be my age, it's even worse. So enjoy it while you've got it, for sure.
I'm already bad, so.
James from Ottawa says, hey, Robert. He says, nice studio setup. Looks good. And Thomas Santiago says, hi, everyone in the chat. Okay, there you go. James says, Rob officially has the best hair.
It was only a matter of time before the hair comments started rolling in.
There you go. Yeah. I thought for sure someone's going to say on the video you did the teaser for the show tonight, you said you just got out of the shower or whatever, and I thought this is a perfect shampoo commercial right here. You know,
I should have and I only use Pantene for.
Yeah, you know what? With the amount of subscribers you have on your channel, if you would have said that, I'm sure they would have reached out to you and said, "Would you do a Pantene commercial?" You know, they probably would. That's hilarious.
That's so funny.
Dirty Apes is saying, and I just scrolled again and I went too fast. Bear with me. I'm trying to get back to that. Where was that? Dirty Apes was saying it was black on his screen. He couldn't see the screen, whatever, but it's okay. He says he's got it back on now, too.
Oh.
So IPFT7A, is sometimes these names are really hard to say. Robert Baker is a legend. Woohoo. And Rob's here for the win. Okay, this is good. Lyle Ketchum says, Robert, where did you have your last guitar built at?
Last guitar? So like the Acacia?
Maybe, I guess.
Yeah, so that one...
that's a signature, right? Or
yes.
No? Okay, let's talk about that one.
Yeah, so the most recent one is... Let me see if I can do this without either knocking over my computer.
Yep.
Or... I'm already knocking stuff over.
It's tired, I know.
It was only a matter of time.
Yep.
But yeah, so this one was made out in... they're basically in Santiago, California.
Okay.
And that's what, like I said, it's Acacia. It's just a kind of a smaller custom shop out in California. And that's what this one was. And it was just not initially a signature guitar. It was just a custom I ordered from just like anyone else would. Just ordered a guitar that I wanted to have built. Mm-hmm. And like I said, thankfully it was from people asking them, saying like, "Oh, we want the Robert Baker signature guitar." I'm like, "Oh, well, maybe that's what this should be then." I'm like, I'm fine with that. So
cool.
That's kind of, I don't even know if you. Oh yeah, I'm like holding it and you can't see it.
No, we see a little bit of it, but yeah, lift it up a bit.
It's a secret. No one can see the guitar. But yeah, so it was just kind of like the guitar I always wanted. I always wanted a guitar that, like I always say, you play the instrument with your eyes first. Mm-hmm. So I love like quilt tops and the bird's eye maple fingerboard. That's not dirty. Mm-hmm. But so many people comment like, clean your fingerboard. I'm like, it's bird's eye maple.
I love it.
But yeah.
Let's see the headstock on that thing. Nice. I like that. One of the things I don't like about some guitars, because obviously everyone has to be very careful around the Strat style headstock with Fender headstocks and things like that. And some people go to such extremes to not be like it that they look horrible. Mm-hmm. That looks nice. I like it.
Yeah. Or like no headstock at all.
Yeah. Then it's a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice. It's one of the regulars here on the show, Sinner. He had asked me when I went to NAMM in January there, it's one of the places he asked me to cover, and I really regret that I didn't. I really regret it, as the Acacia booth. And so were you there at this past January?
Yeah.
And that's a bummer. I could have met you there.
Oh, yeah. So I was there. The guitar was actually on display there.
Okay.
So, well, luckily it kind of lined up right. But, Sinner ordered one from them.
Good, okay.
It's just an amazing purple guitar. So,
nice. I love purple.
He might have it. I don't know if he has it yet or not, but...
Comment down below, Sinner, if you can, if you're still here, and let us know. Very, very cool. Here's a shout-out request from Raining Blood 666. He says, please say hi to my son, William. He's 10 and rips on guitar. Hello, William. I hope you do very well with guitar and keep at it. It's nice to see some of these kids get into it at a young age, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Play Eruption every single day.
That's right.
William.
That's right.
Every day.
And one day I will try and learn that song as well too. Right, solo. Yeah. I'm still chasing it. It's like this damn treadmill. As soon as I think I got it, even close to it, nope, I'm not there, and start all over again. I'm almost going to get to the point where I am going to say it's okay to give up. And I don't want to give advice to give. Actually, that's bad advice. But for my, do what I say, not what I do. Don't give up. I'm going to give up on it. All right. It's just one of those things where only Eddie does it.
Yeah, it's funny because Eruption. I've tried to play it for years and I can't, of course. But everyone has like that one song they chase, like you said, like Eruption, and Eruption wasn't it for me. It's always been Cliffs of Dover.
Oh, I love that.
Like my whole life, I get on these like, spurts where I'm like, I'm gonna learn it all, and then I'll like practice like a section of it for a week, and like I'm not gonna learn it all, and I'm just like put it away for a year, and then go back, and I've over like 10 years, I've inched my way through like a quarter of the song. So
you can love it and you hate it at the same time. I hate you because I'm not gonna learn you, and I love you because it's so awesome. So awesome, William. I hope you do very, very well. Adam is saying over here too, talking about the weather. We're getting some rain all over the place here. So this is cool. Hello guys. Rob is my favorite channel. Very, very nice. Obviously, we're talking a small channel here in my channel, but people, if you're just discovering Rob's channel for the first time, go have a look and you're going to see some great, great stuff. And we're going to talk about where your channel is going here. One of the next questions coming up here soon as well too. But obviously, this is nice. Sometimes when we do these things where we collaborate back and forth, because obviously there's a lot more people that know you than know me. But it's nice that we get to share a little bit like this, and it's very, very nice for both of us as well. I did notice right away, too, just with you doing a couple of shout-outs, I saw some subscriptions. Now, I know I'm trying to run a contest right now, too, and that also drives some traffic. But since you did a little shout-out tonight, I was probably like 10 to 15 subscribers already, too. So that's very nice, and I appreciate that. Yeah. Let me see here. It's flooding everywhere, Poison Ivy saying here. Yeah, I went into our small little town where we used to live tonight, and there's some serious flooding. Around. I saw some pictures online too of Quebec where like there's torrential floods. Is it bad your way at all right now?
Yeah, actually, our basement even had some. Like it's funny, everything holds water really bad around here. So our backyard just looks like a swimming pool.
Yeah,
and our basement actually had some. We have like a unfinished basement, so it doesn't necessarily hurt anything. But yeah, there was like water in our basement. I'm like, man, it needs to like. Calm down, Mother Nature.
I know. A funny story. I was going to take a picture of this, but I went to take a picture tonight, and I just couldn't capture it. Like I'm a photographer too, but I was only shooting with my phone, and I just couldn't get the right angle to really show the depth. But our home here in Ontario is an 1864 home, so a very, very old home, very historic, all natural, everything. Everything's all original in this place. I mean, other than new amenities and things like that. But in the back, where we have what we call a mud room, it was never there before, obviously. And outside, there's a sinkhole that's opened up in the backyard, and it started off to be like an inch deep, and now it's about 3 feet deep. And you look inside, and you can see brick in a perfectly round shape, and I'm thinking it's a well. Remember the old-fashioned wells with the buckets and everything?
Yeah.
So as cool as it kind of like intriguing to go look at it, and what's the first thing I do to see if it's safe? I stick my foot in it, right?
I wonder if this is gonna.
Yeah, and then you fall down to your death, right? Where did Eric go? He's been gone for 3 hours. Oh, who cares? Something's on TV.
That's like the classic videos. It's like, why do women live longer than men? And it shows like the men like doing these crazy things. Yeah. And it's like totally one of those situations. That's
what it is. I'm gonna investigate it this weekend because now with more rain, we're getting more seepage and things like that. I'll try to take a picture and I'll show you a picture of it after. I think it's a well, an old-fashioned well, because Poison Ivy was saying, well, they wouldn't have had a well that close to the house, but yes, they would technically because this big addition to the house was never on the house, so it could have been 20 feet, 40 feet away from the house at one point, right?
Yeah.
So crazy. Adam's saying Lake Ontario is rising dangerously high. And you and I were on Lake Erie for the most part, right? Yeah. Let me see here. Where do we leave? This is cool. This is a really good question. Favorite EVH. So we'll take Eruption away. Favorite EVH riff and solo.
Solo? Can we say like 316?
Sure.
Is that like
that counts? Sure.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I love 316. That's always been one of those. I remember, like, you watch Live Without a Net, or it's like something from like OU812, and it's still like that 316 solo, like that opening. I'm like, I love that so much.
I play that for Poison here all the time. She loves it. She'll fall asleep with me playing that.
Yeah, that end of
yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, so that's probably one of my favorite, and that's not like one of his heavy riffs, but. One that always sticks in my mind, and probably the the Hot for Teacher solo.
That's a good
just
one.
because that was a song that made me want to play guitar. So that's like ingrained in my mind of like, oh, this is the solo that you always want to be able to play. And you listen to Eddie, I'm like, God, he's so good. So,
just so fluid. For sure. Let me see here. Adam says you missed all my hellos. I'm not sure if I missed something there, so I apologize on that. Scott MacArthur says, hi guys, checking in every few minutes. Hoping everyone's doing well. Chase Hombre, good day, boys and girls. And Captain Canada says, Rob might remember me. Mitch Harmon says, hello, Rob and Eric. Dirty Apes, okay, he's back with the screen. He had some problems with the video for a bit. Anthony Brewer says, gangsters. So Greg Walker says, hello, everyone. Big party in Kentucky. We have a thing called the Kentucky Derby, so there must be the Kentucky Derby. So I know how to play the little riff on the guitar, Kentucky Derby.
Really?
That's pretty simple. But I mean, that's the only thing I know about Kentucky Derby. And it's Poison Ivy says, thinking about building a boat. Yeah, maybe it might be a good idea. Yeah, start building a boat.
Not a shabby idea.
Yeah, two of everything. We need 2 guitar players, 2 bass players. We need 2 drummers. Well, kind of thing. 1 drummer's enough. Let me see. Okay, I mentioned you to Rob way back. Yes, Adam was one of the ones for sure. Adam was probably one of the very first people that said, Eric, you got to get Rob Baker on the channel. And at the time, I didn't know about you, and I was very blessed to find that out. John Lastinger says, yeah, thank you very much. John Lastinger says, good evening. Very, very nice. He says, Rob bleeds EVH. He's one of us.
Yeah, Eddie's the man. So
there's not a lot of guys on this planet that inspire me like Eddie Van Halen. And one of the things too, like all of us have our idols, right? We have these idols that we worship, whether it's entertainment comedians or actors, in this case music. And I remember my mom always saying to me, because even as a kid I was worshiping Eddie Van Halen, but be careful what you don't worship your false idols, the old from the Bible, whatever, because you're gonna meet them someday and they might be jerks and crush your spirits. And unfortunately, I can say I've met Eddie a few times, and when I did meet him each time, I was like, thank you for being such a good guy, because that could
That's
I
awesome.
devoted my life to this dude, right? So Have you met him yourself?
I have not. I would do anything. I used to. It's funny. My old guitar teacher he works at Fender. Or he did work at Fender, I should say, and he was like president of all the Northeast sales and all that stuff. So he was like one of the higher up guys. And I remember like 3 NAMs ago, we went up there and he like got us into the Fender show early and all that stuff. And he's like, "What do you guys want?" I'm like, "Is there any way I can meet Eddie Van Halen?" He's like, "He's not here right this year," or whatever it was.
Figures,
I was like,
totally.
No, I know. I was like, I have to ask, because he, like I said, he was my first guitar teacher, so he knows like the line of Eddie Van Halen. Panama was like the first riff I could ever play from Van Halen, and all that stuff. So
isn't that something? His name wasn't Greg by chance, was it?
No, it was Tim McMillan.
Okay, because when I worked in music retail at a Fender dealer, there's this reason the way you're describing him as like the kind of like the national sales manager. I knew a guy like Greg that was in that type of position. Okay, very cool. Very, very cool. When it comes to Eddie though, that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of people I love, like Joe Satriani and Steve Ray Vaughan and things like that. But when it comes to Eddie Van Halen, obviously people that come to this show know I devote my life to that guy, for sure. So we have the Kentucky Derby going on, obviously. We talked about how I've discovered you. This is cool. This is good. Very good point. Michael Bishop says, I think one thing I hate with some of the YouTube music blogs is when they talk to you, you have to turn the volume up. Then they play, you have to turn the volume down. In defense of those guys, or girls, whoever it is we're referring to, same thing could happen to my channel, and I'm sure it's probably happened to Rob and his growth of his channel too. Production is one of the, when you're not a skilled, engineer, sound engineer, it's a very tough thing to work on, whether you're getting your volumes level back on your cabinet, then getting your microphone so it's not picking up room noise. It's a process that we're always learning and struggling with. It's hard. And I mean, until we are at the level where we can afford to have producers and engineers on staff, it's a very difficult balance. Yeah.
Well, and most, the time people will, I can only speak on myself, of course, but it's like, I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. It's like you learn as you go. I mean, I got lucky because I took media in school where we did a lot of video editing. So that kind of like came into play. But yeah, it's like you just you learn as you go, and then you're like, oh yeah, I didn't know that this even existed. That solves this problem.
Exactly. That's a question I'm going to jump over to and onto my itinerary. So you do a lot of videos, obviously, and you've probably had some things along the way that have helped you. First of all, how long does it take you on an average to do a video? And maybe what has been some production workflow tips that have saved you some time over the course of time?
It all depends on what type of video. So like gear demos and stuff like that take a long time, and they get like the least amount of views out of everything that I do.
Don't you realize that? I hate that. You spend a week or two on them.
Yep. Yeah, because I write the song, and then you obviously you write it, record it, mix it, master it, all that kind of stuff, and then you shoot the video, and then you edit it, and then like all that, and those are probably like maybe 10, 11, 12 hours of work into one of those. But some lesson videos will take an hour. I'll think of an idea, and I'll come up with the licks like right before I hit record.
Nice.
And I'm like, all right, this works.
Those are gems when those happen.
Yeah, I love when those happen. And then, of course, then there's always the ones where I'm like, I can't play the lick right to save my life. And I'm like, just kind of sit there. But yeah, one thing that helped me out a lot was like having like a 2-camera setup. So where, because I do like my own videos, but I also do videos for a few other companies, like lesson videos. And I would have to like literally like record the camera on hear me talking, then move the camera over here and record the guitar, and I'd have to flip back and forth like that. And then when I got 2 cameras, I could like do it and then just spin my chair, record, and then go to the next video. And I just like, you don't think like 5 minutes here and there adds up, but when you do it all day, I'm like, man, I'm done 3 hours early.
I know, that's very, very nice. Production workflow tips are phenomenal. I'll give you a couple examples where I've benefited greatly. I've been an Adobe user for forever. I'm still a subscriber to the Cloud Nat, and I use Photoshop and Lightroom for all my photography and for my web design stuff. But I was also using Premiere CC for all my for my video editing. I loved it. I swore by it. And a lot of people shied away from it because it's very complex, but it's powerful, and I loved it. And I'm not going to say anything bad about Premiere because I'd be a hypocrite because I used it for a decade. However, the experience that really killed me with Premiere, now down at NAMM, obviously I was just like Henning, shooting a lot of video down there, like booth to booth to booth to booth to booth, and all these videos. And I promised a couple of them they'd be up at a certain time. And one was the most important to me was the EVH gear booth. And now, in defense of the software, I use Mac here, but I also have it for PC on my laptop, and I have an Acer laptop, not very powerful, decent, new, but it's not a workhorse machine, right? And the EVH video took me. I was up all night, like literally, I didn't sleep, and stayed up because I promised people I was going to be up, and I got it up because the rendering just took forever on it. Got it up about 6 o'clock in the morning, and then a couple other videos I had promised to be up. I was literally, my flight got delayed by about 8 hours, so I'm in LAX airport, plugging in wherever I could, and using the free Wi-Fi, and trying to edit this video and put it up online before I got on the airplane.
Oh man!
So here's where my time saving went. I switched over to Final Cut on the Mac, and rendering time is a fraction. I know it very, very well. I've studied and absorbed color correction and color grading, and so I love it. It's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. Spare time. Now you have a little bit of spare time now.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of people. It's funny how many people hate Final Cut Pro. I used to use Premiere as well, and it was probably a year or so ago. They had an update had a huge glitch in it, and it was you couldn't view playback, and it kept moving audio. Like you would go to like export it, and it would shift your audio over like a second. And whenever you're like, it's like that second is actually a huge difference. It ruins everything. And so I could not get it to work. So I ended up buying Final Cut just because I had used iMovie before, and then I was like, oh my god, this is so easy, because I'm not doing cinematic, like I'm not designing kind of stuff like that in my videos.
No, you just need to basically edit and trim.
Yeah, so I'm just like, as long as I can add layers and stack them and do all this stuff, and this is perfect. And I haven't went back. Final Cut's just been the way to go. I
love it. When it comes to multi-camera editing too, as well too. Do you do that much? Like,
Yeah.
I know you said you have the 2 cameras, but one of the things I love about it, this is really, really cool. The one day I did the demo on, it's one of my favorite demos, but at the same time, I'm sure you're going to say this too about yours. There's always something you hate about your video. You love the video, but it's like, oh man. And you just say, you know what? Heck with it. It's done. I spent 30 hours in this thing. It's done. I'm not going to go back and fix it. But I did one that 2 of them that just got shared tonight on the Idea Bench website for their pedal boards, and I did 5 cameras on that thing. And what's so nice, you bring that in. Like I had an overhead, I had like a GoPro right inside the board, which was really cool. A bunch of different cameras. You bring it into Final Cut, boom, multi-camera. Oh, it syncs it up. It was
Snaps it all together.
Oh, I love that. It's just so nice, and you just pick where you want to switch. You know, pick your camera angles. I love that. So in Premiere, I would have been working on that. I'd probably still be working on it right now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So production workflow tips. Try to and watch. There's a wealth of those things out there as well too. And matter of fact, you know what? You might like these guys. I wrote them down earlier too. Ripple Training, YouTubers. You ever see those guys? They're Mac software guys. Look them up. You'll love them. You'll subscribe to them overnight. I guarantee it. They do all kinds of Final Cut, especially Final Cut tips. I learned so much from those guys. And just when you think you know it all, which I never do, but just when you think you have a grasp on the software, you're like, oh man, you know. Like it's like certain jump cuts. They're talking about the new feature in Final Cut where you can do this. I think it's called flow in between cuts, and you can actually have a talking head go from one to the next, and it's just so smooth you don't even realize that there was an edit there. Very cool.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's really cool.
I'll send you a link to those guys after. You'll love it for sure.
Yeah.
Adam, it's Captain Kennedy is asking Adam if he watches Rob's live streams. Let me see. Let's scroll down a little bit more. We got a lot of people in this chat tonight. It's great. 58 people watching right now, which is nice.
Nice.
Okay, so Sinner did say he ordered his Acacia just after Christmas. The wait is killing him. So it's good to know. So IPF, it looks apparently is over in Malaysia. He says, "Come visit Malaysia, Rob."
Ooh.
So he's over in Malaysia. The electricist, Glenn is awesome. The electricist was on the, I pronounce that word wrong every time. He was on the show last night saying Glenn is awesome. Will Dunham is joining us, saying hello, everyone. As Adam says, Scallon is a freak of nature. He's unreal. I kind of agree with that. The guy can play every instrument very, very well.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
How'd you like his For Whom the Bells Toll with all the little kids' bells? And wasn't that something?
That's it. Like, he's amazing in this like super unconventional way, you know. I'm just like, who thinks of this stuff? I mean, it's genius.
It is.
But I wonder how much it cost him to buy all those bells, you know.
Oh, I know. Yeah, he spent some money, and you know, I know how good he's doing because I've reached out to his people, his handlers, so to speak, and I haven't heard a word back. So I know he's doing very well. You know, when you're doing very, very well, when you don't have to get back to the little talk show guys, you know. But that'd be cool. I'd love to have him on, especially for my boy too. He'd love him. He's a great musician. Okay, here's a good question. This is a technical gear question. How much do you use your Axe effects compared to the real amps you have? Do you notice a lot of difference in feel? And I'm going to give you a couple things that goes to show that I've been watching some of your videos because I've been sharing a lot of interest too in the two-note stuff. I noticed in one video you did, it's nice to get back to tube amps and be able to play them, you know, and that kind of stuff as well too. But talk about the Axe effects and then playing the tube amps and things like that.
Yeah, so the Axe effects right now, the stuff is separate. I have a buddy who's borrowed a bunch of my cables, so I can't run. What I like to do is I run it 4-cable method into the Rev.
Okay.
So so normally, basically what you hear is the Rev amp, but I get all the effects, the delay, reverb, chorus, all that stuff from the Axe effect. So you get like the super high quality effects, but you get the real power section of, you know, an amp, and then I'm getting the preamp sound of a tube amp as well. So,
nice.
But just on a standalone unit, you know, the Axe effects is so amazing because it's also an interface. So when I want to record, you literally the Axe effects is plugged right into the computer, and I plug right into it and I record.
USB right out.
Yep, USB right out of it.
Nice.
So it's insanely easy, you know. And I probably wouldn't like tube amps for recording at home as much if it wasn't for the two-note stuff.
Very handy to have. Yeah. And I saw your demo on that as well too. It's very, very cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very cool. And speaking of the Fractal as well, too, I've got Mark coming on from Fractal very soon, too, and he's going to probably be plugging in and giving a bit of a demo and stuff like that, too. So I'm really anxious to learn more about the product as well. And I saw a video he was doing the other day. He was doing some Pat Benatar solos and stuff like that. Man, nice. Playing the Gibson Les Paul he had with a Floyd Rose on it. And I was like, oh, man, I don't own a Gibson Les Paul, but if I had a Gibson, it has to have a Floyd Rose. It was cool watching him play.
Mark Day.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, fellow Canadian, which is nice as well too. Yeah, yep. He's not too far from me as well.
Mark's a very good player.
Yes, he is very good. Very humble dude as well too. So he's coming up soon as well too. I don't have the date in front of me. It's on the website though for sure, but it's coming up soon. Timothy Pierce, hello from New Hampshire. Scott MacArthur saying hi, Tim. Blackie DH. Dan Lopez 2012 sending much love to Robert. Hey Eric, thanks Dan Lopez. So I'm almost down to the bottom of the chat. I can't believe I actually made it down there. Chase Ombre, Sam Guentes, I made it. Sup, Rob? Pete Friesian says hello. Blackie DH, no medicinal. Okay, I'm not sure where that conversation went. And Adam says, I got to try Fractal. Mark Day is awesome from Ron Paget. Hey, Ron, good to see you. And Jason Haverfield says, have you tried the Fractal Axe 8?
I have not. I would, in all honesty, if that would have been out when I got the Axe effects, I would have probably rather had it than the full unit like what I have now.
Okay. I want to check out the Fractal as well too, and I certainly wouldn't use it for a distortion type unit, whatever. But lush reverbs, delays, modulation effects like that's something I could see myself enjoying.
Yeah, then you probably look into the Axe, because basically the Axe 8 is a floor unit, kind of like the Helix.
Yeah, I don't know if I want floor units.
Oh, okay. So then you definitely want this unit. But the issue is the floor unit. You can't run 2 amps at the same time.
Okay.
In it. But I don't do that anyway.
No, I wouldn't either. Not here in the studio environment.
Yeah, and the big unit is almost double the price of the floor unit, and I'm like, but I don't use what the big unit has that the floor unit doesn't. So I was like, man, if I would have known that at the time, well, it didn't exist at the time, I should say.
Right.
But I was like, I would have saved my money and just got that because that has all the effects and everything in it already. So
very nice. Well, one of the cool things, speaking of gear too, you and I, we get to demo a lot of gear, which is a lot of fun on the things that we do here every day on our show and things like that, and our channel. What's been one of the coolest pieces of gear, maybe whether you own it now or you don't own it, but it's maybe a piece of gear that's come through your hands for the past year that was just absolutely amazing and blew your mind?
It was probably the Rev,
okay,
to be honest, just because that originally came to me just to demo.
Okay.
They were nice enough when I went to Summer NAMM and let me borrow an amp. Like, I had never had contact with them before, and they were like, yeah, just come by and you can use it for when you play. So I used it and stuff, and I loved it, and I was like, man, I would love to do a demo of this amp, as a thank you. Like, oh, sure. And of course they sent one over, and then I got it, and about 2 hours into playing it, I remember I messaged Derek and was just like, all right, man, how much is this amp? And it's like, it's not going back. And then, bought it right then.
That's great. That's awesome. It's a cool looking amp as well too. I've seen a lot of videos. It looks nice.
It does a lot. It's one of those amps that, like, you look at it and it looks really cool, and there's a lot under the hood of, like, when you dive into, like, the switching and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, this thing does a lot.
That's 2-channel or 3?
It's 2-channel, but it's more like a 4-channel.
Okay.
Because it has digital switching in it. So the pedal board, you can actually program different presets into it. So you can, like, when I play live, I have, like, a clean, a crunch, a heavy rhythm, and then a full lead tone, all in their 4-channel button. Yeah, and it's a 2-channel amp.
Yeah, so very versatile then.
Yeah, so 40 watts, so you can really crank it live, and the sound guy's not turn it down.
Yeah, exactly. So, oh, right on, man. Mike Morrison says, Eric, where are you from? I'm from southwestern Ontario. I'm pretty much on the Windsor-Detroit border. That's the easiest way to pinpoint me. So kind of in the nice area of Ontario as far as temperature-wise when we're not having this weather that we have right now. Noah777 says, say hi to Robert for me. I just did. All right. There we go. Hey, Noah. What is JD Gonzalez says, Rob, what is used in the Alive performance? Do you know what he means there?
used in the Alive performance?
Maybe in a live. I'm not. He says in a live, like in the word alive.
And like when I play live.
Maybe, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So when I play live, that's really where the tube amp comes into play, because I don't want to unhook the Axe effects every time. So that I just used the rev into the. You probably can't see the 212 over here.
No.
But and I use like a super simple setup. It's just I have a Carl Martin echo tone delay, and then a Carl Martin reverb, and that's pretty much it. I've been using like an ego compressor, the Wampler.
Okay, right.
Lately. Yeah, and that's it, and a tuner. So
pretty simple. Another one of these, like Mark Tremonti was saying last night. Keep it simple going into the rig.
I've always just plugged straight into the amp, so I don't have any, pedals in front of the amp at all.
Nice. Less is more, for sure. If you can do it, if you're one of those guys that can do it, awesome. I'm kind of the opposite. I have my comfort zone, and there's a few things I have to have. There's a few things I have to have, and there's a few things I just throw on there for fun. I still use them too, but reverb and delays I love. I seriously love. So I always have to have that. But it's one of those things where I'm slowly weaning myself off a lot of things. I have pulled some things off the board, and I'm getting it down to a comfortable medium. So getting a little bit better. Okay, there's a question I possibly missed. Captain Canada 2, he'd asked a question earlier, but I might have missed it. He says, for Rob, it was tips for writing your own music. Do you have any tips for writing your own music?
I always tell people, when you try to write something, I say start very simple. You want it to be very much like a building process. So it's kind of like when you learn to use a scale for the first time. It's like, instinctively you're like, I want to use all these notes that you have.
Yep.
All of them. And it's like, well, you really want to pick and choose what notes you're using, and you want to create like a melody. So you can always make things more complicated as you build through the song. So it's like, you look at a simple, I shouldn't say simple, but like song like The Ocean by Led Zeppelin, that's a pretty complicated riff. I imagine Jimmy Page didn't just sit down and play that riff out of the blue. He's probably kind of like, and he built it into this. Of course, Jimmy Page is a god, so I don't. Maybe he did just sit down and be like, all right, yeah.
It could have happened.
But I always recommend build it, start very simple, and just add parts to it. So
it's like having a new drummer come out to audition for your band. He's got a 16-piece drum kit, and you say to him, you get to hit 3 of them. 3 drums. Yeah. You only get 3 drums. You hit the 4th one, you're fired. Next guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you use it in moderation. Good question here, and a question I might have asked as well too, from Kyle McIlroy says, what's your favorite overdrive pedal? That's always a good popular topic. Now, you probably don't need an overdrive pedal with that amplifier, and a lot of times, even on a clean channel with that amplifier, sometimes they can probably take a nice overdrive. Is there any ones that you particularly prefer?
Yeah, I like the like I said, with the Rev, I don't typically use one because of the gain staging that it has, but the Wampler Pinnacle Deluxe.
Nice. A lot of people talk about that.
I've been loving that. And then Carl Martin, because the Rev is it has kind of like a plexi-ish side to it on the channel 1, but it's definitely more like an American voiced amp. So I have like a plexitone pedal from Carl Martin. Sometimes if I want that super plexi-ish sound, I'm like, oh, there you go. Kind of VH territory.
Yeah, well, I've heard a lot of people talking about the Pinnacle, especially that, saying that if they're going after the brown sound tones, it can get it. I haven't tried it, so.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I love it. And it has a boost on it, so
nice.
It's a sweet pedal.
Very, very nice. Good answer for sure. Jared Frost is joining us. He says, I'm a fan of 2 amps at the same time. Yeah, he's got a very nice, he's running PV and EVH gear. Loves it. And JD goes on and says, amp, yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, okay. So he clarified there. Let me see here. Chase Ombre, overdrive and delay, good to go. That sounds very good. Yeah, that's a simple rig for sure. And the nice thing is with my rig that I'm running right now, I have quite a few pedals, as I was saying, but working with my friend Jody at Peddle Snake, he's been on a mission. One of my pedals I have on a very high gain amplifier is a noise suppressor, just to take away the hiss from the amplifier. Not necessarily the pedals, but just the gain stages of the amp.
Yeah.
And because I've cleaned my signal flow up so well, using good voltage, good lines, I don't even need the noise suppressor anymore, and I'm finding myself stepping on it when I don't need it. It's almost like you think you have a headache in the morning, so you go to grab a Tylenol and Advil, but you don't.
You don't, yeah.
And I don't need this noise suppressor anymore. And I just haven't gotten to the point where I'm going to pull it off the rig. But he's been on this mission. He goes, "It's my goal to get rid of that noise suppressor." I'm like, "Jody, it's not going to happen. I run a 5150, man, and all this other stuff, and it's happening." And I'm really, really happy.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's cool. It's been a fun, long running private joke with us, but he's almost got me getting rid of it. So, which means it means I'm going to have another. Yeah, I was going to say it's going to mean there's going to be a hole on the pedal board. And what's the first thing I'm going to do instead of rejoicing that I have one less piece of thing causing a problem? I'm going to put another pedal on it.
Yeah,
and I'm going to be back again.
Yeah, what else I can put on here?
Yeah, now I think I need a noise suppressor to get rid of that noise. So yeah, if I'll take it off and I'll put an LED light or something on there to give me a light to see what I'm doing. Something or a coaster for a pop or a beer or something. Yeah,
perfect.
Awesome. Adam says 60 people watching, fantastic. Yeah, it goes up and down all the time. And Ron Patches says he loves the MXR EVH overdrive. That is my favorite pedal. Obviously because of Van Halen guy, I love it. I put it on the board. I play it through the. You can probably see me behind my head. You can see back there the green light on the lunchbox back there. That's the new lunchbox, and it's got a beautiful, beautiful clean. And I don't even use the dirty channel on an amp. I use clean, and I use the MXR 5150 overdrive, and I love it. I have the mids dimed on it completely. I think those amps really take mids saturated and just buttery tone. Lows probably 12 o'clock, and I keep my resonance on the back probably around 12 as well too, and run it through the 412. It sounds beautiful.
Yeah, I love that the lunchbox thing has caught on so much.
With everybody.
Always loved. Yeah, I love the 20 watts. You know, you can just really just dime the amp, and you're like, yeah.
It sounds great.
In band practice, I have a little. It's a Panama amp, but it's only 20 watts, and you literally to get over the drums, you have it pretty high up there, and it's just like. It makes you think of like the whole Eddie thing. Like, you know, I feel like is this amp gonna just blow up because it's just getting so hot and it's so loud? I'm like, this is like it's getting ready to. It's gonna happen. Yeah, and it doesn't, and it really gives you that satisfaction too because you're working it right to the last, little bit of muscle. Yeah, it's very, very cool. So very, very cool on the MXR 5150. Love that for sure. Jaden James says thumbs up, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you do, if you like the content, it's great. It's a nice reward for us. Anthony Brewer says hit that like button. Michael Bishop says Brian Wampler lives about 20 miles south of me here in Indiana. Very, very cool. Nice.
Younger fan Zachary Suter, one of our locals here, saying hello. And that's really cool too. Do you find you get a lot of younger kids as well as the mixture of the everywhere else between watching your channel? Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking with someone about that, a company, because a lot of companies want your demographs on YouTube because they don't want you to necessarily have only a young audience, something like that. They really want this in between audience. And then we were talking about my demographics and stuff, and I have a decent amount of younger. It's like my third highest tier is like the younger audience. They're like, that's really good. That's kind of like, you're planting the seed of these ideas of, what the style, style of music, rock and roll, stuff like that. So yeah, it's cool whenever you see someone who's like 10, 11, 12. Yeah. I'm like, I love that you're playing, this, you're playing Back in Black, I love that too. I got to see that firsthand in the music stores for the long time when I worked there. The kids would be coming in, the parents, the kid, they're coming in for the guitar lessons, and they'd first come in, they'd want to learn like whatever the flavor of the week was with the pop bands, and then all of a sudden now they're coming back, after they could learn a little bit, okay, I want to learn All Along the Watchtower, I want to learn Day Tripper, or things like that. You're like, oh, thank you, awesome. Yes. Or, Jamie's Crying or something like that, it's some classic old rock, right, or some Sabbath and things like that. Really, really cool. And I know what you mean too about the demographics too. I'm a real analytical person as well too, and it's helped me tremendously with the channel even on a small channel. Picking up a new sponsor was all because of my analytics. We're able to provide that information and say, look, X amount of percent are American. And actually, my base, believe it or not, Canadian audience, I have about 76, I think that was the last time I looked, 76% people are from the USA. Canada's the next biggest country. Then it does stagger, from 1% to 0.5% across all these other countries. But yeah, very happy. That's a nice announcement I was able to make last night on the show. I picked up the Music Zoo over in New York. So they're now a sponsor of the channel, which is really, really nice. And still a longtime supporter of Van Halen store. For someone who likes to wear Van Halen shirts, well, as I'm wearing right now, it's nice to be furnished in Van Halen shirts. So it's come to the point now where I can wear a different pair of shoes every day, striped shoes, and not wear the same ones. And I love it. So thank you, Van Halen store.
Oh man, I still have my original. Whenever this was years ago when EVH announced that they were doing the striped shoes, like first time, it was like a limited run.
Yep.
So of course I don't know how old I was, but I'm like, say like all the money I had, I'm like, I have to get like a pair of these shoes, and I still have them. They're worn, like literally holes completely through the heel of the shoe. They're still sitting out in our garage. I'm like, I will never throw those shoes away because it was the coolest thing in the world. Like, I had the striped shoes.
Yep. And Sandra Lee Poison Ivy here, she's going to laugh at that too because she'll tell you this story too. I used to have guys back in the day would paint them and send them to me so they can get the Converse Chucks, right? And they did a pretty good job, fabric paint, whatever. And I still have 2 pairs of them, and they look like they were in, like they were dragged behind a car driving from Kentucky to Toronto with a just married sign on them. And I won't go. And she goes, you can throw these out now, right? You have all the ones from the Van Halen store. I'm like, but there's history. I wore those on stage with the band. I broke my ankle wearing that one pair. You can see the blood stain on it still. Yeah. I won't get rid of them, and I should, but I can't. I can't get rid of any Van Halen stuff. I just can't do it.
Yeah, that's the thing
for sure. Let me see here. See if I messed off here. So, and Adam is saying like the lower wattage amps are getting big right now. Mark Tremonti was talking about last night on the show. He has a new one coming from PRS, and I've
heard about that.
I was really schooled on this one. I figured, okay, I was stereotyping PRS, and I love PRS, but a lot of their products can be expensive. Just what they are, and especially the amplifiers can be expensive. You get what you pay for. But Mark was saying this thing's coming out around. He wants it to retail at around $599. For like a 15 watt tube amp. I'm like, wow. He says I think they were toying around $699. And Mark, the true cool guy that he is, he wants to fans to be able to afford this stuff. He says I wanted to retail street at around $599. So that's pretty awesome.
It puts it much more. I assume it'd probably be an import at that price.
It must be.
That puts it. It's funny because it's not like such a huge difference, but it is at the same time. Like $599 puts it in a much more competitive market. $699 because
$699 now goes from $700 to $1,000, and there's a lot of amps in that market. You know what I mean? So now you're down into your Boss Katanas and your PV Vipers and all those kind of things now in that market.
Yep, and I feel like $599 people will view it as like, oh, it's $500.
Exactly, good point.
They're like that's totally affordable. I can see that.
Yep. They don't think about the taxes and stuff like that after, but it's still what they think of right off the get-go is more affordable. Yeah, for sure. I'm going to get to a couple more questions in chat, but something that's really important that I want to ask you about too, and it's something that I thought was really cool. You've got some lesson packs available coming up as well too. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so those are always after I do one, I'm like, I'm never doing this again because they take so much work to do. So I've been working on the one I just released last night for probably a couple months now, on and off and stuff. And it's just basically like, if you like my lessons at all, it's like I can finally be as in depth as I want because with on YouTube people want you to get straight to the content and not a whole lot of like diving into like, well, this is why you pick this way. This like the lesson packs. I was like, well, I'll do these. They're much longer videos. They're like an hour or so of footage in one of them. And I'm like, I can just take as much time as I want because it's like the people who are going to buy them want to know this information. Sure. Yeah, because if you didn't give to them, they'd say, I really wish you'd say this, so they've already got it. Yeah. So that's what they're all about, and whenever a good topic comes to mind, I'm like, oh yeah, I could probably like come up with enough content for that. And then it just kind of goes off. And then, then I'm like halfway through it. I'm like, why am I doing this? But yeah, so that's pretty much all that they are. It's like a super extended version of my normal lessons. Oh, very cool. Well, I wish you the best of success on that. Now, can they buy it? Like, I know a lot of times on our channels now, we can actually have paid content. We can have people pay for our content on YouTube. Is it a paid download or a paid subscription, or are you doing it somewhere else? Yeah, it's on my website. Okay. So if you go to like robertbakerguitar.com, you can download. I have a store there, and there's
Okay, good.
4 or 5 of them now that you can download. And if there's any issues, then there's a contact forum and all that stuff. So, but so far, no issues with all the people who have downloaded it.
Oh, that's
so
good. So everything's going good that way. Yeah, tech support sometimes can be, how come
Yeah.
the download's not working and this other kind of stuff. Yeah, I know it's a drag sometimes. Yeah. It's technology. You gotta love it, and you can hate it at the same time. And I was joking with you one time. We had our Skype call talking about the show about a week ago. I was telling you how my day job, I run my own business, a multimedia company, and I specialize in website design. And I love website design. I've been doing it for about 15, 17 years. But I love video production, and the reason why I love video production because videos don't break.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Exactly.
You do a video for yourself or for a company, and it's like, here you go, enjoy the video. You watch the view count go up, whatever. But then a website, you do a website, looks good and pretty and bells and whistles. All of a sudden, a client emails you and website's broken. Oh, drop what you're doing, and instant tech support. And but I mean, you know what? I'm very, very thankful. It pays the bills. No questioning that. But the videos, I love it. And photography as well too. You take a picture, it lasts forever. That kind of thing. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and there's something because I assume you probably work from home then.
Yes, home office. Yeah.
Yeah, which a lot of people. I mean, it's an extreme. We're very lucky that we get to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also fun. It's one of those things. It's like when you go somewhere else, there's not all these temptations of the living room with the TV, and you have all that stuff. So you really have to be focused. Like
you need a kick in the butt.
Yeah, because it's a self-motivating thing. So a lot of times I come in here, I'm like, nope, I'm not doing anything. I need to get this stuff done. Once I get this done, then I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, it's too easy to open up Facebook. And then it's like, oh, you know what? I got 50 comments I got to reply to. And then, YouTube too. Like, we talked about this too. When you're starting off small, it's a thing you want to try to get to every comment. And I'm still trying to do that. And I'm doing a good job on that. But then you realize, okay, now 4 hours has gone by. And it's like, okay, and then you're like, well, I might as well do this. And then, your day's gone. Exactly.
So,
then you repeat that process again tomorrow. So it does take a lot of self-discipline for sure. Totally. Before I get into the last question I have for you, as well, more of a comment too. I just wanted to say a lot of this has to do with you. I just checked the channel here, so I have a contest going on. It's going to be starting right away. I'm going to be giving away a Wolfgang Standard Series guitar. It's this really nice metallic blue, mystic blue metallic finish. And I was been talking about it for a long time, saying when the channel reaches 3,000 subscribers, I'm going to kick off this contest. And just check the channel, and you've brought me a lot of traffic tonight. I probably got around 40 more subscribers just from when you come on tonight. So we're sitting at 2,964 subscribers. So we're less than 40 away from the mark. We hit that 3,000. Sandra Lee and I, Poison Ivy. I call her Sandra. I know her as Sandra. Everyone else knows her as Poison Ivy. We decided how we're going to do the contest. And so I thought I'd tell people. People are saying, how are you going to do it? And I don't necessarily. I'm not looking forward to getting any more social media follows and things like that. I mean, that's always nice. If you like the channels and things like that, please subscribe in the different entities. And the best way to find me that way is go to evhgeartdiscussion.com. And there's all the social media platforms there you can follow. But we're going to be having it where you shoot a quick video. There's no length requirement on it. It could be 10 seconds or 2 minutes or 10 minutes. Film it with your phone, film it with your camera, film it with whatever you got, and just say what you like about the EVH Gear TV show, and why you would like to win the guitar, and whether what you would do with it, why you'd want to win it, blah blah blah, and upload that video to YouTube. And once we hit the 3,000 subscribers, I'll tell you where you go. It's going to be a spot on the website. You're going to fill out this form, and it'll run for 30 days, and we'll pick a winner randomly from there. So it should be a lot of fun.
Nice.
And I want to thank you as well for sending me some traffic to obviously really cool new fans, which is cool.
Awesome, absolutely.
So thank you on that as well. So other than the instruction that we're talking about as well too, and you're going to be doing a little bit of traveling on the road, obviously overseas there a little bit, but you have some USA clinics coming up. Is that correct as well?
Kind of, yeah. So we're doing some stuff. We're trying to set that up. I'm lucky. I have 2 friends who own stores, and we've talked about doing clinics that might be happening this year and some stuff at NAMM and that kind of thing.
Nice.
So that's not like set in stone, but it's like still in the planning stages. So hopefully it comes to be. It's one of those things I would love to do. Not because I think that I'm a super good guitar player, but I love the interaction I taught at a school for a little bit. I've done in-person lessons for a long time, but I actually taught at a school for like half a year, and it was really cool having like a class of 15 people play guitar. I'm like, wow, this is actually like, it's a challenge that keeps you on your toes. You're like, oh, this person's at this level over here, but this person's just like killing the content because they're so good at it. And then you just have to like bounce around. So it's a really fun thing that I would love to get back to doing.
Good.
Maybe not in like the classroom, but the more like clinic-y kind of aspect of a more rock and roll kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, clinics are fun because, number one, first of all, you don't even have to be the world's best shredder to do it. It's just you have to be able to play and have to know the product and convey your love of the product. And that can be a lot of fun. Just going to spread that infectious love of the product. And then when people see you smiling and laughing, as they know you from the YouTube channel and stuff like that, you've already won them over with the humor before you even start playing. Then you show them that you know the gear, you can explain it to them, and then all of a sudden, wow, okay, where can I get this? How much is it going to cost me? When can I pre-order it now?
Yeah, well, and 9 times out of 10, people care more about like riffs. There's way more like riff players that's why they say like there's no money past the 12th fret because then you're soloing. So
that's good. That's a really good. I like that.
Yeah, so it's like that's rhythm's king. So it's like 9 times out of 10 you're gonna be playing more riffs and stuff like that on your gear. Then solos are usually 20 seconds of a song. So to me, like the riffs, when I hear like a Nuno Betancourt who's rhythmically just so amazing, I'm like, oh, he's so good. I listen to his riffs and I'm just like blown away, and then he solos and I'm even more blown away.
I know. Well, that's a perfect point too. As one of our final thoughts, and I talk about it a lot on the show. I didn't mention it today, but Eddie Van Halen. Let's just say we didn't know Eddie Van Halen as the lead player that he is today. Let's say we never got to hear these crazy passages, and all we got to hear was his rhythm chops. His rhythm chops can far exceed some of these cats out there today with shredding with solos. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, I still can't play the "I'm the One" intro.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I'm like, who are you? You're not human. Like,
it's really cool to hear someone yourself with your talents to say that as well too, because it is you either have it in your blood or you don't. And a very funny story that was very directly related to Van Halen. When I had Brian Young on, one of my early guests last year, I played with David Lee Roth for a while, come out of the Atomic Punks and play with David Lee Roth. And they were having a rehearsal one time and looking over the songs, whatever. And Brian goes up to Dave and says, "Dave, you don't have "I'm the One" on the set list. Couldn't we do? I love that song. Couldn't we do that?" And Dave looked at him and says, "You can play that?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, like a lot of us know how to play it." He goes, "Well, the last guy we had couldn't do it, so they took it off the set list." So it goes to show you, a lot of accomplished players, it's like that patting your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time, that by dexterity,
Yeah.
That it's ambidextrous, whatever they want to call it. You just can't do it sometimes.
Yeah, it's tough, and one of the things like I pride myself on with playing is how much I love like the swingy kind of rhythms and stuff like that. But that rhythm, I'm just like, Eddie's insane, like DOA or like all these songs, just so much groove in his riffing, and I'm like, I could just listen to you play riffs all day long.
I know. I might get flamed for saying it, but I mean, I could pull off if I could pull off the leads and just listen to the rhythm tracks and a lot of these. Well, sometimes we have some of these tracks available to us. I love it. I could sit here listening to that all day. And it makes you learn the songs better too, which is nice.
Oh, have you listened to the "I'm the One" like guitar only videos on YouTube?
Yeah.
Like is that not the coolest?
It's beautiful.
To hear?
Yeah.
Oh man.
And you really hear the tone too that we don't normally get to hear, because we hear the tone and we love it, but what's in the mix with the drums and vocals and everything else, you don't get that full experience. And that's why I like listening to the instrumental versions of all the stuff too. You're like, oh man, I'm hearing some guitar there I never heard before. Yeah. I wish I would have had those in the day of learning the songs, like for the tribute bands. Would have been great.
Oh yeah, because you hear Eddie's tone and it's just like snarly, like
sure
the way
is.
It's so mean. It just is, like you said, it sounds like the amp's about to blow up.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, that's the tone. That's what I want to sound like. And I'm like, and I never will.
Like I said to Mark Tremonti last night, I asked him if he felt the same way. I said, it sounds like he's like in a Formula One race car about to destroy that car by blowing up the motor or crashing into the wall, whatever, but he controls it every single time.
Yep.
The average guy gets behind the wheel and it's like notify the next of kin, right?
Yeah, it's like a bomb getting ready to go off, and he just like right before it blows up, he's like, "And no."
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. You know, it's amazing. So listen. Oh, this is an honor and absolutely. You know who we have joining at the very end here, and I hate to say goodbye as soon as he jumps in. Shawn Tubbs is joining us.
Oh man, I just found out about Shawn not too long ago. We have a mutual friend. I cannot think of his name, but he told me he's like if you like Pete Thorne, he's like no, he's like you got to watch Shawn's, and I was instantly hooked. Like what an insane player. And
Shawn, you'll appreciate this too if you're still listening. Last night when I was talking to Mark Tremonti, I mentioned Shawn because I was saying, you know what, and this you'll appreciate this as well too. So we can listen to shredders all day long, and I got a lot of buddies that shred, and I like to do wanky stuff too on the guitar, but I also need to get away from it sometimes. And discovered Shawn when I was doing the interview. He was coming on the show with Chris from J Rocket, and I always surround myself with my guests, so I'm right in their wheelhouse, right? Come across Shawn's music, and I was like, oh my god, I call it this atmospheric stuff that I love, his pretty chords. And and I said to him, I said, you know, the only other person I've ever heard like you, and it's very rare, is Ian Thornley up here in Canada from Big Wreck.
Oh my God!
So he was saying he was a big fan. Last night I was talking to Mark Tremonti about Shawn. Oh, I love Shawn's work. This is Mark Tremonti saying that. So Shawn, it's a real blessing to be surrounded by a talent like yourself and Rob tonight, and all the other guitar players here in the chat as well too. So I apologize to Shawn that we'll be ending the broadcast here momentarily. But you can go back and watch the replay. And Shawn just uploaded a couple demos again today too. There's one
really?
of the one was in the EQ pedal, I think, and I forget the other one. He may comment and let us know. I got the notification because I am subscribed to his channel. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to check it out. If you're still there, Shawn, maybe just comment and say what those two J Rocket pedals were that you did. And I encourage people to go look up Shawn Tubbs on YouTube, and obviously Robert Baker for the fans that are here that haven't discovered Rob. There's probably only a couple here, and I know a lot of people are actually here to see Rob. So very, very awesome. So good stuff. And he's saying right on, man. He's not saying which pedals they were yet, but you'll find them anyways. And I'm sure one was an EQ and something else. Yeah.
I wonder, because I know Shawn plays for Carrie Underwood. I wonder, does he record all her stuff? I just learned for a student 2 Carrie Underwood songs, and I was like, I wonder if this is Shawn.
Good question, Shawn. You can answer that. Maybe it is. And he did say the IQ Comp and Majestic. Okay, so there we go. So if you heard his questionnaire, do you record all that as well too? Ken Bear saying, great show, Eric. Thank you. I really appreciate this, everybody. And Shawn Tubbs is saying, nice to meet you, Robert. There's going to be a nice network for you guys. Just like talking to you off camera, I got to know you off camera. And Shawn, you're going to find is a lot like yourself. He's just a dude, man, that can play guitar very, very well. But at the end of the day, is a dude, and it's great to talk to. The dude, there's your J Rocket pedal, Tom Bukovac. So maybe that's who did the recording, possibly.
Okay.
Bukovic. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Bukovic. I'm not sure. But anyways, and everyone else is saying hi to Shawn as well too. Quite the honor. It's a nice way to end the broadcast. Having another great guitar player pop in. Thomas Santiago says, great show, Eric. 56 people watching, 41 thumbs up. I really appreciate this. I'm honored to have great talent like Robert on the show. And what I'm going to do is I thought I put the link to your YouTube channel in here, but I'm going to edit it the moment it's done. So people, if you can't find Robert Baker's and Shawn's channel here, I'll have them both in the description. Give me 5 minutes after the show. And and MB 215 says I have to check out Shawn after this as well too. Scott MacArthur says, great show indeed. Love the show every week. And I'm very, very thankful too, because not only was it nice for Robert to take a time to come over on the show and hang, he sent me some new fans and traffic as well too. And that's what it's all about, reaching more people and, spreading our word of our love of our products that we work with, and just to talk gear. It's fun,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Really, really cool. So I would love to go out and get a breakfast burrito, but my McDonald's doesn't carry it. I wonder, it'd probably just be cheaper either to go there first thing in the morning or get you to mail me some across the lake. Probably get it here faster. It's and if you guys don't know what we're talking about, just joining us, it's a private joke. The McDonald's in Canada doesn't have the all-day breakfast, the same menu as what they have over in the States. So Quentin James says, love these two kids. All right, so listen, everyone, 10:34 here Eastern Standard Time, Friday evening. Hope we warmed up your weekend for you. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay tuned over my channel over the weekend, because I'm probably going to be making an announcement that the contest is starting thanks to great traffic from Robert tonight. Check out Robert's channel. Check out Shawn Tubbs. Everyone have a great weekend. Be safe whatever you're doing, and enjoy enjoy that Kentucky Derby if you're down there for the horse racing. That we just discovered it as well tonight too.
That we just found out exists.
That's right. For those of you that are just joining in late, go back and watch the replay after, and I will put those links in the video. Don't hang up. I'm going to say bye to you off the air, and I'm going to turn over to the little man here in just a second, and he's going to tell us what he's playing and what his name is. And everyone have a fantastic weekend. Love you guys. Thanks to sponsors, Music Zoo and VanHalenStore.com. Cheers.
Video production services provided by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs.